One of the big things that I've discovered this year is people will come in and their goal is weight loss. And the whole relationship that they have to health, their body, fitness, weight loss, and food is all negative. It's all based on a system of punishment. The people that I'm working with right now, I'm trying to reframe that whole thing, and so that it becomes more of the decisions that I make today are going to affect my tomorrow.
Welcome to Corporate Warrior, the podcast that brings you the best advice on how to improve your health, optimize performance, and maximize productivity. With your host, Lawrence Neal.
This episode is brought to you by the Resistance Exercise Conference, the science and application of strength training for health and human performance. Would you like to learn from the top strength training researchers, network and connect with other exercise professionals from all over the world, join a welcome reception on a Friday night to build relationships with other strength training professionals, experience an early morning workout from an expert trainer to kickstart your Saturday, and get inspired, rejuvenated, and focused on your strength training business? I certainly do, and that is why I am attending and interviewing all of the speakers at the event. The Resistance Exercise Conference will be held on the 9th and 10th of March 2018 in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the Commons Hotel. To get 10% off your entry fee, head on over to resistanceexerciseconference.com, click the registration button, and enter Corporate Warrior 10 in the promo code field in PayPal. I'm very excited about this and have wanted to attend for years. Sign up now at resistanceexerciseconference.com and get 10% off with promo code Corporate Warrior 10, and I look forward to meeting you in person. This episode is brought to you by ARX, the most innovative, efficient, and effective all-in-one exercise machines I've ever seen. I was really impressed with my ARX workout. The intensity and adaptive resistance was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I love how the machine enables you to increase the negative load to fatigue target muscles more quickly, and I love how the workouts are effortlessly quantified. The software tracks maximum force output, rate of work, total amount of work done, and more in front of you on screen, allowing you to compete with your previous performance to give you and your clients real-time motivation. The ARX uses a computer-controlled motor to give you the exact amount of resistance your clients need 100% of the time. This means that the resistance can never become dangerous, is intuitive and simple to use, and can provide you with all the results you and your clients are looking for in a fraction of the time. ARX is highly effective and efficient in delivering all of the benefits of exercise, including increased strength, muscle mass, cardiovascular conditioning, bone mineral density, and injury recovery. As well as being utilized by many high-intensity training trainers to deliver highly effective and efficient workouts to their clients, ARX comes highly recommended by world-class trainers and brands, including Bulletproof, Tony Robbins, and Ben Greenfield Fitness. To find out more about ARX and how you can get $1,000 off software licensing when you place an order, that's right guys, $1,000 off, please go to arxfit.com and mention Corporate Warrior in the How Did You Hear About Us field. So again, to get $1,000 off software licensing when you order, head on over to arxfit.com and enter Corporate Warrior in the How Did You Hear About Us field. Hi guys, I am Lawrence Neal and welcome to another episode of Corporate Warrior, the podcast that teaches you how to optimize your high-intensity training protocol and your high-intensity training business to help you achieve your health, fitness, and business goals. My former guests include people like Dr. Sean Baker, Pete Sisko, Dr. Doug McGuff, Michael Lepowski, Dr. James Steele, Tom Church, Bill DeSimone, David Allen, and many, many more, of course. My next guest is the Strength Shop owner, Melinda Hughes. Melinda runs 2 high-intensity training-based businesses in California. She fell in love with high-intensity training after experiencing it as a client, and she jumped at the opportunity to become a trainer and eventually open her own shop. She's worked with hundreds of clients in tens of thousands of sessions. In this episode, we focus on business and particularly the mindset of a successful fitness business owner. What is it that gives people the ability to start and sustain this type of business? We dig into her strategy, business model, target market, and what quickly becomes clear to me is just how unique Melinda's approach to business really is and how different it is to many of my previous guests. She really has created her own utopia where she does things her own way and seems to get great results in terms of client retention and referrals. Lastly, we talk about the opportunities that opening the Strength Shop has afforded Melinda, who is, to my surprise, a true polymath with many, many talents. But you will have to listen to find out more about that. This is an excellent choice for someone looking to create their own fitness business in their own way. For all of the show notes and links for this episode and all episodes, please go to corporatewarrior.org and don't forget to hang around at the end for your free gift. And now I give you the charismatic, the wonderful Melinda Hughes. Melinda, welcome to Corporate Warrior. Appreciate you taking the time to be on my show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited.
So, strange question to start with, but I'm quite intrigued. Your company is called The Strength Shop, and it's got two P's and an E. I don't understand that. What is that story behind that?
You know, I wanted to make this high intensity strength training, weight training, building muscle accessible to women. It's already accessible to men, but I found that, I just wanted, I don't know. I thought the name would be a little bit more intriguing to women with two P's and a little bit more inviting because most women don't, I guess at the time that I opened my store, most women weren't focused on building muscle. It wasn't as accepted as it is now, I guess. So, especially in the older generations. So I wanted it to be more inclusive. That's why. I know it's kind of like the old English way of writing shop.
Okay, cool. So I read a really interesting article about you recently. I'm not sure how actually I think it was printed this year or put online this year in the Voyage LA. Really cool interview. And in it you talked about your mentor and who kind of got you into this way of strength training, and that person then I think went on maternity and you kind of took their place in their business for a little bit. Who is that mentor, if you don't mind revealing?
Melissa Gunn at Pure Strength.
Oh, okay.
Have you spoken with her?
Well, sorry, what's her last name?
Melissa Gunn.
I don't. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to embarrass myself now. I may have over like social media, but not like over the phone or anything. And but the business name rings a bell. She's in
Studio City, and her business is called Pure Strength.
Cool. Where is that? Studio City? Where is that?
Studio City. Yeah, on Ventura Boulevard.
Oh, okay, cool. So you she went away, you took her place, and then you decided to start your own business. Like what inspired you to start your own business?
It came about very organically. It wasn't something that I ever set out to do. I didn't go to business school. It just kind of fell into my lap. Even finding this type of training, I did a search online for a personal trainer and found this specific type of training as the very first thing that came up, so it was just the next logical step for me. We had clients, coming in to, my mentor's place, Pure Strength, who kept saying to us, open a place in Pasadena. And so it was kind of just like, I don't know. I saw her do it and she's so good at it that I thought I'll bring this to Pasadena. It was, I don't know, just kind of fell into it. But I'm really happy that that the opportunity presented itself because it learned a tremendous amount through that whole experience.
You mentioned in the same article that you risked everything, loans on cars and all sorts. And, what gave you the confidence, to do all of that? I mean, that is, you hear that story a lot, but we also don't hear about a lot of the people that do that and fail because there's a proper survivorship bias.
Yeah, I don't know.
when looking back on it now, I think I was just crazy out of my mind because it was 2011. It was the middle of a recession here. Part of it was, that I was doing this type of training as a client, and the recession hit, and I was bartending for a living, so that restaurant bar closed, and I was out of a job. So that's how I became an instructor. Is I was just like, oh, I told my mentor one day, I was like, you have a really amazing job. And she said, hey, do you want to learn how to do this? And I was like, yes, this is great. And so it kind of progressed. And I don't know what possessed me in 2011 to be like, oh yeah, this is a really good idea to open a business in a recession and take out the money on a cash advance on a credit card and put my car up for collateral. And yeah, this is going to work. I have no idea. I don't know. I really believe in the training. I really believe that it is beneficial for everyone, that it's a quality product. And I just thought, like, this is a no-brainer. Like, it's going to work. It seems crazy now.
Yeah, no, it's really inspiring. You've also talked about how, and I'm going to quote here. You say, when I am sitting in defeat, disappointed that I wasn't able to make it happen, someone on something steps in and helps me. And that's like, I quite like that. It's kind of like that law of attraction type of mindset. Can you give an example of like where that's happened when you were building your business or growing your business, where you were like, you know what, I'm screwed, and then something came out of nowhere and helped you out? Can you remember?
There's countless examples, but
give us the best one.
The very first one, was I was making this video that was going to be on the front of my door, and it still is, actually. And in the video, I wanted people who had done this type of training to give like a little tiny, like one little blurb testimonial. So the first part of the video I shot, and it was like, it's still on my website. It's going to be I just redid it recently, so it's going to be taken down eventually, but it'll be on YouTube forever. But it says, it's just me saying, hi, welcome to the Strength Shop. Here we do this, this, and this. And then at the end, I wanted all sorts of people who had tried the workout to give testimonials and say, hey, yeah, this is really great because of X, Y, and Z. So over the years, I had trained many of my friends and, just people I knew. And I had, set this time to shoot this video with these people coming in to do these testimonials. And I was in an extreme amount of stress that week. I had a boyfriend break up with me. I was just... It was like a whole mess. And so I'm trying to get all of these people to come out to Pasadena early in the morning on Friday to do this testimonial. And everybody's busy. They can't make it. I'm getting people canceling last minute, and I just need like 5-6 people that I know. And I wanted a couple of men, a couple of women, whatever. And so I get to the, I get to the morning of, and I'm there. I'd been crying all night. I'd been awake, going through this breakup. The videographer is coming from like an hour away. This guy lived. And so I know that driving in, I'm just going to have to tell him, look, none of these people are showing up. Everything's in disarray. We can't shoot the video today. And I just sat at my desk, and I was crying, and I was like, I just give up. Like, I can't, there's no more people, but there's nobody left that I can text. There's no way, the whole little mall area where my business was like a ghost town. Cause I was thinking, oh, well, maybe I can ask some of the other business owners, put them on a machine, and then just get their reaction of like, how did it feel? It's just, I could do something. I'm always trying to like figure out how to make it work, how to make it happen. And I was just, the whole place was dead. There was nobody there. And I was like, I give up. Like, I'm just going to have to call it on this one. And so the videographer came, and I just said to him, look, my boyfriend just broke up with me. None of these people, I'm so sorry that you drove here. I'll pay you. We're just going to have, and he's like, don't worry about it. We'll make it happen. So he starts, I'm a wreck. He starts going, the mall starts to pick up business because now it's like 9:30. He starts going out side to people and say, hey, will you come in and try this and then tell us what you think about it? So he just grabs these random people in the mall. I say to them, I'll give you a month of free training if I can put you on the machine, teach you how to, and then we can get your reaction. So that's what I did for this video is these people, I don't know. It was like a miracle to me because I'm thinking if I'm on my way to an appointment, if I'm going into Whole Foods and people stop me and say, hey, will you do this survey? Usually I'm in a hurry. And I'm like,
my way.
sorry, I can't do that right now. But these people were like, yeah, sure, I'll do this. And they were coming in, allowing me to teach them this thing and coach them through a few minutes of the slow lifting, and then saying how they felt about it on camera. I was like, I just could not believe that these people were doing it. And then we get to the final product of how many people we did that with over the course of the 2 hours. And it was like all these different demographics of people, older people, younger people, all different colors, ethnicities. And I was like, I could not, if I tried to plan that video, which I did, I could not have planned a better marketing tool for my business. Like it was like, something just snapped and divine intervention came through and said, hey, we're going to get this. And the reactions that these people had too, they were like, wow, this is like, it was so genuine, the reactions that I was like, I couldn't have gotten my friends who had done it and kind of were over the initial, everybody who does this type of training, every person who owns a business like this, or every trainer who works with people, the first time you put somebody on a machine and you coach them through the first couple of repetitions of this slow lifting, it's like a thing, people react like they're like, wow, oh my God, I've never felt my muscles like this. So I got those reactions from these people. Like that was never going to happen with people who had the experience of training.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Very organic in that case.
Yeah, it was just kind of like I gave up control of that. And I was like, okay, I give up. We're not going to be able to do this today. And then all of the best things just lined up. And so that was my biggest example. And that day made me think of my brother had gone whitewater rafting and he had gotten thrown, the boat tipped over, right? And there was this place that I guess a lot of people had drowned, and that's where they went. And the reason that people had drowned is because they keep trying to swim out of it. They keep trying to swim out of it. And they're fighting against the current to swim out of it. Well, my brother got caught in this specific point. And he said to us, I knew I wasn't going to get out of it. And I let my body go limp and I accepted the fact that I wasn't going to see my wife, my baby, And because of that, the current sweeps you out and pushes you out the other side. And so he obviously survived, but it was like he just accepted it. He just kind of gave into it and it took him instead of fighting against it. And I think about that story all the time. And I have so many examples of that, but that was my first big one as I was trying to do this video. And I'm like, trying to make it work. And then you just kind of give up. And all these people just helped. They just gave of themselves. They just were like, oh yeah, I'll do that for this girl.
Awesome. Did you give your videographer a lifetime membership after that?
I offered to train him, but he, like I said, he lives so far away that he was like, I don't want to drive in. But that guy was really, I really loved the videos that he made for me. He was really good. Since then, I became very adept at making videos myself through my comedy channel. So a lot of the newer videos I've made myself.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. No, they're very good. I've seen them myself. Okay, so that ties nicely into this other quote I wanted to state, which is that, again, this is from the article, so I don't know if it's actually verbatim. You never really know. And it goes, as long as I can go to bed at night knowing what I did right by myself and others, I feel good about my choices and I know it'll be okay in the end. With this view, obstacles and challenges become just another way of saying opportunities. Opportunities to learn, to grow, opportunities to change for the better. I really like that because I really think that's so important. I think if you can get that right, if everyone who's in this business can get their attitude right, a lot of the other stuff takes care of itself. A lot of the tactics and strategies and principles come as a result of having the right attitude.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. I think I know a lot of people who are successful, right? And I know, I know a lot of people have difficulty with failures. And for me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that again. Like, I try not to punish myself when I make a choice that may not have been the best choice, because I know that every time I'm making a choice that I feel is best, taking into consideration the situation, the other people involved. Like I'm always trying to make a choice from my higher self, I guess you would say, if but I know that if I do that, nothing's a mistake. It's just something that I learn from. Nothing's a failure. One of the things that I think sets my business apart from other fitness facilities or gyms is that I do not pressure people to sign up for anything. When I talk to a new client on the phone, I say, hey, this is the initial consultation is this. You can come in, you can see if this is right for you. You can see if you like it, if it's what you want. And when the people come in, they pay for that day, that consultation, and I don't make them pay for anything else. It's not
so you
like,
don't do a free consultation first?
No, and the only reason I don't is because we get a lot of people who are not serious about it in that way. And when I do a consultation with someone, I do most of the consultations. My trainers do some of the consultations, but I do most of them. And the reason I do most of them is because I want everybody, I want to get to know everybody who comes into my place, and I want them to know me. And I spend a lot of time with people. The consultation is really supposed to only take 60 minutes, and I'm there sometimes for usually at least 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours, 2.5 hours with people, really getting to know them, what they want, taking the time to teach them how to do this, to explain to them what their tendencies are. Everybody has a different way of trying to avoid muscle failure because it's, it's survival to try to do it. And I really take my time to talk to them about it and teach them how to do this. And I think that first appointment is really important to do that. So when we get people who aren't really invested or not, don't want to really listen or don't really want to be there, they just kind of wanted to see what it was because it was free, then I just feel like it ends up wasting my time or that other person's time. So I want to make sure that people are invested or really want to learn it. So that's why I do that. But after that consultation, I don't pressure. I'm never like, oh, well, the package is this amount, but you have to sign up now. We never do that at my place, and we never automatically charge somebody's credit card. So what I've created is a climate where the client is always choosing to come in. They're always making the appointment because they want to be there, not because that they've already paid for it or because they've committed to it at some point. And I think that maintains the integrity of myself as an instructor, all of my instructors, because we are always doing our best with someone. We're always delivering the highest level product because we want them to get the most out of it, number one, but then we also want them to come back, and they're always choosing to come back. And I like that better than, haha, we've got your money and you've already paid for 20 sessions. I don't care if you come back. We've got the money in the bank. That's not how I like to run things. So certainly we do have people who are long-term clients who, prepay a bunch of things, but that I never want someone to feel like, and that is, I think, one of the biggest things that people sense as a difference between how I run my business and how other gyms or other facilities are run. I get that over and over again, that they appreciate that and people are kind of on guard when they come to a gym. They're like, oh God, I want to be healthy. I want to be stronger. I want to invest in myself in this way, but I'm afraid that I'm going to go in and not like what it is and be pressured into joining something that I don't really want to be in. So I don't do that.
Were you always like this, even from the very beginning, when maybe you were more you were more reliant on income when the business kicked off?
Funny you should ask, because I still am reliant on that because I just opened a second location.
Oh yeah.
So right, I'm in the middle of paying a rent that's not supported by the second location at this time, paying off the equipment. Like, so yeah, I've got massive bills right now. And so that, I mean, yeah, it would be it would be a lot easier if I was like, yeah, pay now. But I look at business as not the quick fix, like the money right now. I look at my business as a long-term thing. That's why every single person who comes in, I want them to really have a wonderful experience at my business, because even if that one person doesn't stay or doesn't feel like it's right for them, they might tell 5 other people about their experience. And especially if that experience is negative, people tend to talk more when it's negative, So I want to make sure that I'm always just who I am as a person. I want to put good into the world. So I want to make sure that my business is always putting good into the world. And I think that protects the business as well, because of, then you're creating a reputation that is going to stand the test of time. So you may not have that $1,500 in your bank account tomorrow, but your business will continue to grow and continue to prosper, as the years go on, which is more important.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. It takes sometimes real discipline to have that kind of, like, not be kind of focused on short-term gratification, but it's worth it. How do you generate, what's your most effective way of getting new clients at the moment?
The video of it is on the outside of my business.
Oh, on the actual front of the door as people walk past.
Yeah, that's the best. People have seen my business there for 6 years. They frequently say, "Oh, I've seen you for 6 years, and I figured you're still here. So this must be something." Didn't go out of business, so It must work. This 20-minute once a week thing. And I'm like, "Yeah, well, come in. We'll show you what it is." But I think that people, whether they realize it or not, they sense energy. And when you are being genuinely you and really doing something in the world that you believe in, you're being genuine. And I think that people sense that when they talk to me and when they see my video and when they talk to people who are coming out of my business or who, are working with us, they sense that this is not something that is this is something good, that I'm being genuine, and that intrigues them, and they want to know how this could possibly work, because it sounds like a gimmick. So
it does, unfortunately. Yeah. And so that's really interesting, because basically, okay, the video sounds like a great idea and it's working, but it's also location. It sounds like a really good location you got. Is that correct?
Yeah, people walk by. It's also word of mouth. Yeah. Our current clients, our past clients, will tell each other about this, and then certainly we get a lot of people calling because they read Body by Science, or because they heard a podcast, and they've looked us up, they've tried to find where this type of training is local to them.
Yeah.
But I think that the biggest thing, because we have, in Pasadena, we have a competitor. The Perfect Workout is open in Pasadena. Yeah. They opened a couple years ago, and when they opened, I thought, oh no, this is the death of my business. Oh gosh, this is horrible. Oh, this is bad. And my business has just gone up and up and up.
Okay. And, well, this is the thing. There's a big market out there, right?
Yeah. And everybody's going to find where they, the place that works best for them. So
it's interesting hearing you talk about, your location. I recently interviewed Jay Vincent, who's got a high intensity training studio on the outskirts of New York, and he just kept saying to me, "Location is everything," and he identified a place that had a really good location. I think it was Fred Hahn that gave him that said to him, make sure you pick the right location with a good amount of footfall, because that is really critical for us, which makes sense.
Yep. And
Sorry, go on.
Another happy accident that happened in my I'm not really a business person, that I didn't go to business school. I was looking at places that were not as visible. And I mean, they were still visible. They were still very visible, but my Pasadena location is very visible. In fact, my real estate agent called it the fishbowl because all windows and everybody can see in. And so I was looking at places before, this place. The places I was looking at were visible, like a lot of foot traffic. They were in the same mall. One place was across the way in the same mall, but they didn't have so many windows. So there was a little bit more privacy to the whole experience. And just, those places were leased out from under me at the time, which when you're new to business or new to experiences, every time something like that happens, it's like, oh no,
my dreams are crushed.
Yeah, you end up, something better happens. So what ended up happening was I opened my eyes to immediately this fishbowl location. I was like, I don't want that. Too many people can see, and I opened myself up to that when the place I really wanted was leased out from under me, and thought, okay, this could work. Okay, I could do it like this and I could do it like that. I started to see the possibilities, started to be open to it. And then it ended up being, people walk by and they see us working and it's intriguing to them. It ended up being this blessing.
Don't the clients, how do the clients feel about being so exposed?
They're so focused on their workout. They don't
even notice it.
Really, over the years, I've had a couple of people say, "Oh, I don't want people to see. I don't want people to see," but that's been very few. And we also have workout times. We're open 7 days a week and we're by appointment. So if you want to work out at 6 a.m, somebody's going to come in and work with you at 6 a.m. If you want to work at 8:30 at night. So we do have people like Sunday and Monday are very slow in our location. The rest of the businesses in the mall are closed on Sunday and Monday. So if you wanted more privacy, you could just book a time that's
right.
That all the other places are closed. We're still open. Yeah.
So another thing that, reading that article when I was learning about you is your kind of want for creativity and freedom, which was kind of one of the driving forces of you wanting to have your own business, which is doing things your own way. And it's interesting hearing you talk about why you think, what makes your business different, because it reminds me of what Derek Sivers, who's a author and famous successful entrepreneur, he wrote a book called Anything You Want was what it was called. And he talks about that your own business is like your own utopia. It's like there aren't any set rules in terms of how you should do things. Like just because someone says that's the most effective way to do X, doesn't mean you have to do that. And I love that. I love how when you have your own business, you do have total control in most cases, and you can do things how you want to do it. And it's just nice hearing how you're doing things differently to a lot of other people I've spoken to, but you're still having success, which is great. And that's, I just wanted to kind of underscore that. I think that's the cool thing about going self-employed is you can create your own little utopia.
Yeah. It definitely, it's interesting opening a second location because my first location is very much me. It's everything that I've created.
It's very pink.
Yeah. That's the colors of Pasadena.
Okay.
My second business, all the machines are all black pads, black frames. It looks very New York loft. I'll have to post pictures that you can see of that place, or they're on the Instagram. But opening the second location reminds me of what it was like opening the first location. And when I opened Pasadena, I remember it was me sitting behind a desk in a very open, kind of almost empty feeling space. And now when you go into the business, there's so much life there. There's so many, it's full. It feels I talk about energy a lot because I feel energy a lot, but it feels happy and full, and it feels like everything that I wanted to create. And people feel comfortable there, and that's a big thing. You know, there's a lot of people who don't exercise because they don't feel comfortable, because they don't like that whole thing, you know, and I like that they can come to us and it feels different to them. But my second location isn't there yet. And it bothers me a little bit, you know, but I know it's also getting there. It's not, I haven't completely created the space yet. And, it's interesting because I have about 3 or 4 people who came to my second location in downtown LA, Echo Park. They came there, and you know, through working out there several sessions, I said, "Oh yeah, Pasadena," you know, and they said, "I'd love to see the place in Pasadena. I want to come for a workout there." And they come for the workout there, and they stayed there. So they chose to drive further away from where they live to go to my Pasadena place because of what it feels like there. Yeah. They're like, "I love it. Oh, I like how you have the couch here, and I like this, and it feels good." And that's very interesting to me, because I'm definitely very much a believer of like the positive or negative energy that you put out and the way that something feels. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting that so many people had that experience, had that feeling of the new place versus my established business. So that's kind of what my focus is right now with downtown LA and the Echo Park location, is getting it to feel really welcoming and warm and comfortable and happy and like just that.
It's funny because it sounds like this is going to probably piss some people off, but it sounds like the antithesis of Keyser. Have you ever heard of the chain Keyser?
No.
So they're like, I think they're Swiss. I could be wrong. Business. They're a high intensity training business. Total medics, you know, kitted out gyms. They're global, I think, or at least European. They had a gym in London, and when I lived in London, I used to go there, and it's like a hospital. You know, you go in, everyone's dressed in like lab coats, or not lab coats, but close to, and it's very quiet, and it's full of, you know, people that are in rehab or quite old, you know, senior kind of people. You know, like, and if I grunted during a workout, I was told off, you know.
Oh, yeah. No, that's very traditional.
Oh, right.
You know, that's the traditional, that's how I was introduced to it, is that it was more of like a lab coat, kind of very scientific, like hospital type setting. Yeah. But I mean, how many of us feel comfortable in hospitals? Like, who wants to be in a hospital? You know, I would rather walk into a place where people are smiling and happy and comfortable and relaxed, and they're like, "Hey, how are you? How was your trip to see your daughter?" You know, like, "Hey, it's more of a personal thing," you know. And anybody who's ever had a relationship with a personal trainer or has been a personal trainer knows that relationship is very personal. It's very intimate.
I also feel like, sorry to interrupt. Sorry, I also feel like it sounds like you've created this really unique culture, and it sounds like you're really unapologetically being yourself, and that's coming through in all your business.
Yeah.
Would you say that's true in how you're running things? Yeah.
Yeah. I was struggling a lot because I'm a woman, obviously, and sometimes in business, you feel like you're in a man's world.
Yeah.
And so struggling a lot, feeling like, oh, like my job always calls for like this masculine energy, and I'm constantly having to be this, and I don't get to be my feminine self, or, you know, whatever. And I had a friend who had recently, she's somebody that I met through self-development work, and she had recently started training with me because I had met her there, and she went, "I want to come to your gym," you know, and so she'd been for training for about a month when we had this conversation. And she said, "You're a very feminine business owner." And I thought, oh, she's going to talk about my branding and the colors I chose or something, some superficial thing. And she's like, no, you're feminine as a business owner. You're collaborative. You listen, you nurture your trainers, you nurture your clients. Like those are all very feminine leadership qualities. And it blew my mind. And all of a sudden I was like a kid in a candy store. I'm so excited. I was like, oh my God, yes, that's what I'm doing. Like I can now enjoy it. I am now more aware of it.
Uh-huh.
That's what it is. That's what it has been for me. And it took her pointing that out for me to really understand that that's the dynamic I created. I'm not, it's very much a warm, nurturing kind of feminine energy space in my place. Not to say that the men don't absolutely love and appreciate that who come to work out with us.
Sure they do.
It's comfortable. It's nice. It's like, it's easy, you put your guard down a little bit. And I think going back to the actual specifics of what type of workout we're doing, going to muscle failure is very scary. It's not something that we do every day. It's pushing our body to the limits. And it can be, especially when someone's, under a lot of stress or going through something very difficult in their personal life, it can be very difficult to then push yourself to that physical limit, and that's when I think there's a truck passing. Do you hear that?
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's very faint.
I think that's when, when people come in and, they'll start crying as they go to muscle failure because it's pushing yourself to the edge, and I think that in my opinion, and the way I run my business, I think that's more easily done when you have someone who is gently guiding you there, who is supporting you in that way, I feel like it would be much harder for me to go to muscle failure and to work to that level of intensity if somebody was barking at me or, kind of, I like one of the biggest tactics I use as a trainer, or one of the most effective, I should say, is when someone gets close to muscle failure and they start to reach that point where they're panicking a little bit because it's so uncomfortable. I touch them. I just touch their shoulder or their arm. And I sometimes if they're really panicking, I'll just kind of rub, like you would if you were holding someone's hand, just rub their arm really, and they seamlessly go into it. Then it's like, okay, I'm here, and all of my trainers do some version of this.
Like what do you say when you're touching them? You're
okay. You got it. This is it. Okay. You're going into it. You're doing so well. This is beautiful. I'll tell them this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing.
This is great advice because I train my girlfriend currently, so I'm always interested in learning how I can make her her workout more effective. So
failure. It's called failure for a reason, right? Because we aren't able to finish that repetition at muscle failure. And when you're not able to do something that you're trying to do, it feels like failure. And so I think it's really helpful if as an instructor, you're saying, this is amazing. You're doing a great job. This is perfect. Just keep doing it just like that. Oh, breathing is perfect. So that you're encouraged in it instead of feeling defeated. When you're at a really intense muscle failure, as you've probably experienced, and you're pushing, you're trying to move the weight, you're trying to push it, and it's actually coming back on you because your muscles are that exhausted. Yeah. God, that's such a horrible feeling. Like on the leg press, when that happens and it's coming back on you, you feel like you're going to be crushed. So it does help when somebody's there with you and says, and I know, as instructors, when we train each other, because we never do it on our own, we always train one another. When we get lazy with it and our attention goes somewhere else, or we walk away to clean a machine or grab a pad because it's an instructor working out, we would never do that with a client. But sometimes when it's just the two instructors, we just press the stopwatch and then it's like, oh, I'm going to set this with, it's less formal. It's less, you really feel it. You feel the instructor's attention go away from you and you're all of a sudden there by yourself and it feels like this huge, horrible task that you can't complete. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But immediately when that person comes back, it's like, okay, I can do it. I can do somebody's help. So, yeah.
So this is kind of related to that mind-body connection you mentioned on email to me. Did you want to like elaborate on that, or do you feel like you've covered that quite well there?
I think that's I'm getting more and more into that, right? So, I feel like as an instructor and as a business owner and as a person, I've learned an incredible amount in this 6-year journey so far. Well, 6 years of owning my own business and then, a decade of training. But there's such a huge connection between mind body. So I'm starting to get more and more learning more and more. And, I feel like I was just kind of introduced to that this year. Like I didn't really fully understand that connection until this year. And now I'm learning more and more about it. And so I'm not totally there, but that's where my interest is right now. One of the big things that I've discovered this year is people will come in and their goal is weight loss. And the whole relationship that they have to health, their body, fitness, weight loss, and food is all negative. It's all based on a system of punishment. It's all based on, I'm not good because I did this, and that this is how I look now, and this is how I feel, and it needs to be fixed. And in order to fix it, I need to not eat all of these things that I like. It's all based on this, like, I failed at something or I'm not good at something, and it's now I'm going to punish myself with this diet and exercise regime, and that is not going to result in much success. And so the people that I'm working with right now, I'm trying to reframe that whole thing for them. And, so that it becomes more of the decisions that I make today are going to affect my tomorrow. So today, I want to be really good to myself. I want to be really good to my body. And I'm going to make sure that I drink enough water, and I'm going to make sure that I, eat these type of foods. And it's all about going forward and what you're doing today to treat yourself right. And I think that that's very hard for people when they're so angry at themselves and they're so angry at their bodies. It's more like, oh, I want this to change. And it's not going to change with that attitude. It's going to change with the attitude of like, I want better for myself. And so I'm going to start to treat myself better. I'm going to start to do those things that are going to result 5 years, 10 years from now in a totally different, healthier version of myself. And so I've been trying to do that. And a lot of that, I think what I'm finding starts with acceptance first, the working on how to integrate acceptance and self-love and treating ourselves better. So it's more of a reward. It's more like, I want to do this for myself because this is going to make me feel better in the future, and reframing it that way. And so I'm trying to integrate that into what I'm doing with people.
That's so true. It just reminds me, like I recently put a rather egotistical picture up on my Facebook of my physique because I was promoting a post. So you know how it is on social media. If you want to get noticed, you have to put up those sorts of pictures sometimes. And I had someone comment, a friend of mine, who said, "Oh, you must discipline yourself so much. It must be so tough to avoid all those, those foods." And I just went back to him. I said, I'm not depriving myself. Like, it sounds like weird me saying that, but, I eat all the ribeye I want, because it tastes great and it makes you feel good. And the negative feedback loops, from like boozing and eating junk food just aren't appealing to me. I still do it occasionally. Most of us do. I tend to relax more on the weekends, but you're right. It's a mindset shift. It's the way you look at yourself, and it's all that psychological stuff you just mentioned, which is perhaps at the core of a lot of this stuff. Maybe trying to help someone tactically isn't always the most effective approach because this psychological stuff's going to get in the way of that, perhaps, in the way they look at themselves.
Yeah. It's, I think that when you change that psychological, that relationship with yourself, really, when you change that relationship with yourself, it becomes very easy. So I don't feel like I'm depriving myself at all. I indulge in the things that really feel. I don't know if you can hear that noise. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it. A big truck. Adam, keep this in. This is funny.
Yeah.
My audio guy.
my pause for the big truck. The truck, all it did was it heightened the suspense of what I was going to say.
Okay.
No. But when you change that relationship with yourself, then the choices that you make, I mean, I still indulge. I still, I love these lava cakes with ice cream, like I drink a glass of wine, I'll have a glass of champagne. I'll have steak, I eat pretty much everything, but you're making choices and because you have a good relationship with yourself, you're able to make more balanced choices so that it isn't all one or all the other. That's one of the biggest, patterns in this industry is people who are, it's all or nothing. It's very extreme, sides of the fence. People are either eating all, plain chicken breast with, like what? Okay. That's one side of the thing, or like just full on in and out every day. You know what I mean? And there's definitely a balance between those things. You can be doing a little of everything. You can enjoy a very full, abundant type of eating plan that doesn't have to be about deprivation. And when you have a better relationship with yourself, you don't feel deprived when you make the choice to eat something super healthy because you are making that choice. And, later that day, you might indulge in something else, so you're not, I guess your focus is not on, I can't have this, so that it doesn't feel like deprivation. Does that make sense?
It does. No, well said. Going back to your business for a second, who is your target market? Do you have a target market, like target customer that you go for, that you kind of market towards?
Everyone. 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 I have not met a single person that this type of training wouldn't be good for.
Yeah.
It's essentially no impact. It's extremely effective. You can do it whether you're in perfect health or in debilitated health. It's for everyone. I really believe that everyone should do this workout, and it should be the foundation of what everyone's doing, maintaining their muscle strength, which maintains your metabolism, builds it, keeping your bone density up. It's preventing muscle loss, preventing bone density, increasing the health of the cardiovascular system because the heart and lungs work to serve the muscles.
Yeah.
They're
body by science.
Your heart and lungs are as strong as your body's muscles.
Yeah.
And then now we've got a siren in the background.
Just okay. So better question then might be, looking at your clientele, who are your most the clients that pop up the most? The type of, is it mostly females? Is it specific? Like, is it like middle class? Like, what? You're looking at me like there is no trend. Like, it's everyone.
Honestly, I think when you put your mindset to this is my demographic, you're limiting your demographic. I don't limit my demographic. I mean, everyone can do it.
Yeah.
There are more, our clientele probably skews a little older in Pasadena because that's who lives there. Mm-hmm. In Echo Park, so far it's all people in their late 30s, early 40s. Okay. But that's who lives there. So it's basically who's in the community. It is not the cheapest type of training because we have expensive equipment and rent is expensive in LA. I offer very competitive pricing. I'm definitely not the most expensive. I'm actually probably one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, that does this training in the LA area. So, I try to make it as affordable as I can for as many people as I can, but obviously there's a cost to having a personal trainer. So if there is one trend in demographics, it's probably people that make a certain amount of money, or people who are investing in their health. But yeah, anyone can do it. It's interesting because this was developed through osteoporosis physical therapy in the 80s, this type of training. So I guess you would tend to think that it would skew more to an older demographic, but it really doesn't. I mean, I've trained someone as young. I think my youngest client was 13 years old, and my oldest was 92.
Wow.
It just, anybody and everybody. If you have muscles, you can do this type of training.
That's great. But you do train a fair number of women, I assume, in your facility.
Yeah.
How do you
50-50 actually. There have been times where it's been more women than men at my place, but it's about equal.
Okay. So how do you, just interested, like how you market to women, what you find to be the most effective way to get women to do strength training?
I think the fact that I'm me is a big selling point for the business. I am a 37-year-old woman who's done strength training for a decade, and this is the only workout I've done for a decade. So, I mean, I'm a walking advertisement. And I think that there is something to be said now that my eyes have been opened to the way that I run my business is very welcoming. It's not difficult to come in to my place, So I think there's men and women, but especially women can be very intimidated by gyms, especially weight training gyms. Yeah. It doesn't feel, they don't feel comfortable. It's not an environment that they grew up in. It's not an environment that they're used to. So, it can be a little bit like uncomfortable for people. And I don't think that that's the case with my business. I think it's very much like welcoming to people who wouldn't normally work out in a gym, who wouldn't normally weight train. I think that that's a lot of times why women gravitate to places that are doing yoga or Pilates, because it's very, very welcoming to women. It's very, it feels a little easier for them to walk into a place like that and inquire and learn, and it doesn't feel like they're out of their element. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think my marketing is pretty gender neutral, but maybe it's more feminine because I'm a woman. But yeah, I just try to make it accessible to everyone. I want everybody to feel comfortable. Just making that the place, the space, the whole business in general, when people call me, it's like, hi. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer your questions. It's just, and I don't know what other businesses do that might be different than that, but I try to make it easy.
Yeah, I must say if I lived in LA, because I know about the benefits of all this stuff, I would be very inclined to train at your place. But that being said, I did feel that it had a very feminine vibe based on the color scheme of the padding and the seats and that, right? But also your website, if I remember, is quite pink as well. So that gives off a pretty feminine vibe. I'm just letting you know.
That's so funny. I never heard that before.
Oh, really?
The machines, the first group of machines. So I took out a loan, right, against my car to buy the first group of machines. And those machines I was purchasing from a man, and they had the maroon pads and the white frames. And that is how the color scheme. It was not even a choice that I made. It was like, those are the machines that I could buy with this amount of money, and that's how I'm doing it. And then as you add machines, because that's your branding, because those are the colors of the machines, you have to match. I just wanted everything to match. So I just did that. And to me, it fit because my first business is in Pasadena, and that's where the Rose Bowl is, and that's kind of their color scheme for Pasadena, is that maroon color. So I was like, screw it, that's what it is. But I probably wouldn't have chosen those colors. I probably would have done something very traditional, like white frames and black pads and blue. I probably would have chosen actually blue, because in marketing, blue is the easiest color. There's certain types of blue too. Blue is the most, it's the color that consumers respond to the most. So if you want to sell a lot of product, you put a blue website up, and there's a certain color of blue that has been tested as, the thing that gets people to buy the most stuff, There are all those, but I know this was not any type of business decision or any like, oh, I want it to be pink. It was just that the machines had maroon pads. In fact, my gym in Echo Park is all black pads, black frames. We accent it with maroon to keep the branding consistent, because it's the same business. Yeah. So there's, I put up a faux brick wall to keep that like downtown loft type look, and that brings a pop of red into the space, So, it's funny, but that was never a deliberate thing. That wasn't a deliberate business choice.
Yeah, no, it's funny just how things work out, isn't it? How has your service evolved over the years?
It's a good question. Well, definitely, as I've added more instructors to our roster, we have a lot more flexibility in scheduling. So we have a lot of husband, wives, and even like mother, daughters, or, we have a lot of families that train. And now that, when we have multiple instructors, what we'll do is we'll overlap 2 instructors in a day. So if you train, if a couple trains, they're now able to come at the same time and train at the same time. So before, earlier on when I didn't have as many instructors, it would be that a couple would come and, the man would go and then the woman would go, or vice versa. And they would train in tandem with the same instructor. And now we're able to offer, you both come in 30 minutes, you're both leaving. And I think people really love that. Like, I know it's excited a lot of people, because it just saves them that extra half hour, and it makes it a lot more convenient, and they come together and they get it done.
That's great.
So I think that's one of the big things as far as service, that has changed. Everything else is pretty much, I think as I've built this business, as I've learned more as a human being, as somebody who is a seeker in life, I've learned more about energetic connection and healing and that kind of thing. And so then you incorporate that into what you're doing with people. And, there was a time when I was told not to talk so much to my clients, and it really upset me.
Who told you that?
One of my former boss, my mentor. She was like, "Don't, I was being a little bit too intimate with people," and she didn't like it. And it really upset me. And so I was like, okay, I keep myself in check, pull myself back, but one of the benefits of having your own business is I can do whatever I want now, and so in my relationships with my clients, it's so personal, and I find that much more rewarding for me, and I think for them as well, so instead of keeping it very, some people like a business like that, and some people like to run their business like that, and some people would prefer to go to a business like that, where it's like, you come in, we're going to get started, I'm going to get you in and out, we're going to do your work. It's very, clean in that way. And I think that's maybe how most people do this. I don't know, but I don't do it like that. I come in and, the person comes in and it's very much like, how are you today? And I'll have people tell me my dog died today and they're distraught. Well, I want to know that makes a difference in how you're going to perform today. If something just happened that you're dealing with, and it also is going to make a difference on how I coach you, because, something like that is in you right now. It makes a difference. I'm trying to work with the total person and not just give them a workout. Does that make sense?
It does. No, it's really cool. You come across very like extrovert. Like have you ever done like a Myers-Briggs assessment or anything like that?
Yeah.
So what are you, like the ultimate extrovert or something?
Yeah, definitely. What is it? What is my thing?
I can't remember
I don't remember, but it's the thing that's like, yeah, you should be on the stage or you should be, whatever.
Which you are, right? Doing the comedy stuff, which I'll come on to that in a second. It's Skylar Tanner that actually, I think, you told me about you. You know of Skylar, I assume?
No.
Oh, right. So he must. Okay. So Skylar's like, do you not know that name? Does that not mean anything to you?
It's Skylar Tanner?
Yeah.
No.
He's going to find this hilarious because he's going to listen to this. He was the one who put me onto you. He told me to interview you. Skylar is like probably one of the, and this isn't to put you on the spot or anything. He's probably one of the top trainers in the world. He's a big advocate of high intensity training. But he speaks at like Paleo FX, the Ancestral Health Symposium, and he's got a business called Smart Strength in Austin, Texas.
Oh, I've heard of his business. Yeah. Which is he's just started, but he's doing really well. I think he's only been going almost a year. But he's been on my podcast like 3 times. He's an absolute genius. Isn't that weird that I've heard of his business?
Well, he'll probably be quite pleased about that because he's trying.
That's funny. Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, that is funny. I don't know whether he's going to be annoyed that he didn't know who he was, but never mind.
I don't think he would be. Man of that stature is not going to be upset that someone doesn't know.
Of course not. Of course.
I'm sure. I'm sure he won't be. But I'm surprised that he knows who I am.
Yeah. He's done his research. So so a few of these questions were from him. He also asked, what were the unexpected benefits, and you've covered some of this already, of owning a facility that are not monetary?
Oh, God. And most of the benefits are not monetary.
I had a feeling you would say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Holy crap. Like it is. One of the big things about being an extrovert is you're a people person. And if I had to describe myself in one word, I would probably use the word humanitarian. So I just love people. And so the people that I've met through owning this business and the relationships that I have with these people are just like, they're everything to me. Some of the most wonderful people. And you meet people doing all sorts of things, like just open your eyes up to so many different things. That's definitely the most rewarding thing to me is working with people, getting to know other people, and learning from those people. And then learning from them when they're not even trying to teach you anything. I'll have people, I had this one client come in and oh God, I was like, why is this woman here? She does not like me. I was just like, this woman hates me. Like the energy that I got from her was just like so hostile. And I was like, oh, she just does not like me at all. And I'm thinking to myself, whenever that happens, I'm thinking, oh, like maybe if I put her with this instructor, there'll be a better vibe, and, she'll feel comfortable. And she just kept wanting to make appointments with me, and she kept coming back. And I was like, why is this woman here? Like, she obviously hates everything about this situation.
You do realize this is going live, don't you?
Yeah. She probably didn't realize who she is.
Okay.
But she doesn't like the workout. She doesn't like me. I was like, very much like, I don't understand. And what I realized is that she was just a very guarded person.
Right.
And she felt comfortable with me, but I was responding to her being kind of closed and guarded. And so over the course of time, like, I don't feel that way about her anymore. I don't, but it taught me something. It was like, oh, like, I don't even know exactly what it taught me, but it taught me. It was like, just sometimes what somebody's giving you, it has nothing to do with you, it has nothing to do. She had, the way she talks about this workout is like, oh my God, this has done this for me. This has done that for me. I'm now doing this. I feel this. Like, it's all positives. But the feeling that I got from her in the beginning was so negative that if I weren't who I was, maybe somebody else would have just been like, get this person away from me. But I was trying to work with it. And I was like, okay, well, maybe she'd feel comfortable with someone else, but then she still wanted to come in and do appointments with me, So I don't know. I feel like and it was very difficult, honestly, but I still tried to be as patient as I could with this situation, and it paid off because it's a different relationship now. I don't know how we got into that, but yeah, you learn a lot of things from a lot of different people, and it makes you a better business owner. That's for sure. Because once you've seen something, then you're like, oh, okay, I can work with this person in this way.
Yeah, and then you can use that for future clients and things like that, future people.
Yeah, the non-monetary stuff, the working with the people, the oh my God, just like seeing people's lives change, like having someone come in and be like, yeah, I can keep up with my kids on the hike, or oh my God, like oh God, we had this woman come in and she's like, I'm here because I want to build strength. She's in her 70s. I want to build strength because I'm going to climb Mount Fuji.
Wow.
Okay. We'll help you. When are you going to do this? Oh, in a few months. Okay, here we go. Let's do it. And so, we worked with her, and she worked hard, and what a wonderful woman and like how inspiring. Like, she came in, she did it, and then she went to Mount Fuji, and she wrote us a postcard, and we get the postcard and we're reading it. And it's just like, yeah, I climbed up to this level. I would never have been able to do it without you guys. It was like the steps were this big, and, and it was just like, wow, like to be able to help someone do something that they want to do, or to live a better life, like, that's unbelievably satisfying. It's unbelievably satisfying I had the person I'm thinking of right now, I had a male client come in who just, like, you could tell his confidence was very low. And through the course of training, it's like you're dealing with a totally different man. This is now a man who feels good about himself, like, who feels strong, who likes who he is more than he did before. You know what I mean? It's just like, to see people change and live a better life because of something that you're doing with them, or in part because of something you're doing with them, is amazing. Like, that is unbelievably satisfying.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it is.
It certainly is. I know what you mean. Slightly different perspective, because I'm not training people, but similar in the thanks I get for doing these podcasts, putting people onto this type of training. So I want to talk a little bit about your other interests. So it's quite funny. We were joking about, before we got recording properly, I was going through your different social media accounts, the Strength Shop, and I was like, oh, okay, so not a great big following on the different platforms, but not that that's important when you're more reliant on footfall. But then I find your comedy channel and it's crazy. It's got like 10,000 subscribers, and your Blurred Lines parody video got like 500,000 views. Mm-hmm. So tell us about that. 'Cause like the business you've built has given you the flexibility to pursue some of these other avenues. So talk a little bit about that and kind of how you manage your time between the two.
It'll fluctuate a lot. Talking about managing my time, it'll fluctuate a lot. So it might be kind of all strength shop for a minute, which it certainly has been this year because of opening the second location. I've had very little to do with my comedy life this year in 2017, which will change in 2018. And then some years it's been all comedy, and I'm just checking in with the strength shop, once a week, like going there, making sure everything's okay, that kind of thing. The business that I have is amazing in that it allows me that flexibility, because it's all the people that I work with. The instructors that work with me are phenomenal. Like, I trust them implicitly. I can check out for a minute and they are amazing. They're completely present and completely there, and they take care of everything, and they rise to the challenge always, whether I'm completely present in the business or whether I'm doing another project and I'm like kind of like in and out, but they're always like, all of them trying to do everything that they can to make it better. And that is so wonderful when you have people that you work with that treat your business as their own. It's definitely a collaboration, and it's definitely what it is because of the trainers, because of the other instructors. So I'm lucky in that. Yeah, there's not much of a worry when I step away, because everybody else is so fabulous that nothing suffers. Like, it's great. I think that, everybody kind of has something that they want for their life. And for me, what I want is I want to learn as much as I can about my relationship with myself, with others, with the world. And I want to take everything that I learned through self-development and seeking and deeper levels of understanding, and I want to pass that to others.
What is this seeking? What is that? What does that mean?
I guess that's how I would term somebody who wants to understand things. Okay. I want to understand why I am the way I am, and I behave the way I behave, and other people. And that's kind of what got me into comedy, because I got into comedy through being an actress, and I was very interested in dynamics and people and patterns and that kind of thing. And so I love to learn about that. And that is how I help people. So when someone comes into me and they have goals, I want to know why they need help with their goal. I want to know what their relationship is with themselves. So for instance, going back to the weight loss thing, a lot of people who are overweight, they don't feel safe. There's definitely an emotional component to overeating, if that's why they're overweight. There's a feeling of safety that they get from eating, from the foods that they eat. And so why don't they feel safe without that? There's different levels that we can work with people in that regard. And so that's what I like to try to understand. And it starts with you. So there's a way that you live your life, and it's because of the experiences that you've had up until that point. And you don't really understand that there's many different ways that you can live your life until you see those ways. And so it's about understanding that there's way more to life than what you know, and looking for those things and being able to pass those on to somebody else. I just watched Aziz Ansari's comedy special last night. His last one, his one in 2015. And that guy is so masterful. He's so knowledgeable. What I love about comedy and what I want to do, and I'm not there yet. I think he's there. He's amazing. I think Sarah Silverman is there. She's amazing. These are people who understand dynamics, and these dynamics are causing suffering in humanity. And so they want to point out these dynamics in a way that's accessible to other people through laughter, through comedy.
Right.
So, I'm trying to think of one of the things that he said in his comedy special on Netflix, but, to point it out, because obviously now that I'm talking about it, I forget everything. Well, I think one of the things he was joking about was, creeper guys, like how men don't have to worry about being followed home from a bar, and men aren't, and this is a reality. And the way that he put it was so eloquent, because I'm watching this with my boyfriend on the couch, and he's like, oh my God, that's so true. That's so true. That's so true. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so true. He made it accessible to both men and women. He drew our attention to something without making anyone a bad guy or putting anyone on the defense. And he did it in a way that we could laugh about it. But then at the end of the day, you make comedy out of those things. We laugh about them, but then afterwards it's like, well, yeah, like now it's our responsibility to do something about that.
It's like thought-provoking, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love about comedy. So when I first started comedy, and if you look at my YouTube channel, it's all about like, fun and being funny. And now that I'm getting further into it, what I'd like to do is take dynamics, take things in the world, like our self-criticism and self-judgment, our judgment of others, all of these things that cause so much pain and suffering in everyone's personal life and on a global scale, insecurity, and point that out in a lighthearted, unassuming, funny way, with, real life examples of my struggle with it. And then that allows people to see it in a very, when it's about the comedian, when I take my personal experience and talk about how I'm such a fuck up because I'm insecure like this or whatever. Do you have to bleep that out?
No. I should have told you swearing's absolutely fine.
Oh, okay, good. Sometimes I do that. If I'm talking about my experience and how I'm so, I'm so dysfunctional because I'm so insecure about this, it gives people permission to feel that way as well. It gives them permission to accept that part of themselves. And it also, if we take that a step further in the comedy and talk about, and I don't even know how to do this yet because I'm learning. I'm trying to figure it out. But I'd like to make it that, give somebody a step towards what they can do to correct that, to not do that to themselves. I read a lot of self-help, self-development books. I go to meditation retreats. I do a lot of self-development work, and not everyone is going to pick up a book written by a monk and read that and process it and enjoy that. But a lot of people are going to watch comedy. So if you can take that information, and Aziz Ansari is like, oh, he's so good at it. He's really, I have a lot of.
You're really right, actually, because so my girlfriend loves watching comedy, and she'll watch this like news show about Trump, but in like a funny way, which is like anti-Trump. And like she loves learning and experiencing stuff through that medium. So you're right, like that is a really good way of communicating with a lot of people, because you're right, not everyone's going to pick up that book or watch that thing or read that article and comedy is a really good kind of like gateway drug, for one of a better way of saying it, like of getting people to learn about this stuff. I wanted to ask you something I'm struggling with personally is social media addiction right now. And I'm just really curious, like you live in a place which is known for being quite superficial. How do you manage, how do you deal with social media? Are you also one of the addicts, or do you manage it better, or how do you deal with that?
2 years ago, I realized that I was deeply unhappy, and I did some soul searching. And what I realized is that my human connection was very low, and my connection to my iPhone right here was very high. Okay. So I have a very committed relationship to my iPhone, which I still do because that's where business is conducted in our age. But I realized that I was more interested in texting whoever was on the other side of my phone than a true in-person connection. And that's like a running joke of, two people go out to dinner and they're both texting. Everybody talks about how that's kind of like very commonplace in our society. Yeah. But I didn't really realize that I was doing that, until I realized it. And then I thought, well, I don't really want to do that. And it's very unsatisfying. It feels very empty. If I feel very isolated, I feel very alone. And, so social media is amazing for businesses. I've done a lot of research in the last 6 months because now I have a new business in a very hip LA Echo Park, demographic. Whereas in Pasadena, I'm dealing with, a lot of my Pasadena clients aren't on social media. They don't know what Yelp is. They don't Yelp. They don't have a Twitter. They don't have an Instagram. They're a little bit older, and that's who lives out there. And so I didn't really, as a business owner, have to do anything with social media because it was falling on deaf ears anyway. So when I first opened, I started, my Facebook page, my thing. And then I realized no one's reading this. No one's looking at this anyway. Mm-hmm. I'm better off just talking to people who walk by and engaging in the people that I'm actually in business with, and having word of mouth spread the old fashioned way. But opening the second location in a very social media dominated location, I was like, okay, now I have to figure this out and learn how to do this. And so I'm just learning how to do that. I do know that when I see social media, I can tell, and maybe it's just because I'm looking for it, but I can tell when it's a social media marketer manager and when it's the actual person, because it's a different post when it's the actual person versus somebody who's been paid to post for business purposes. And I can feel that. And I don't know if other people can feel that or not. Now, I know for me as a business owner, I don't have a lot of time to be constantly on Instagram or Facebook or, so I try, okay, I'm going to do it every day, and then life happens and I'm interacting with actual people and I'm training people and it's a busy day. And then all of a sudden you didn't do a post for 9 days. Well, then I feel like a social media failure. And it's like, well, what's really important, And I've thought several times about, I could hire someone to manage my social media, but then that's not me. And I want my business to be what I want it to be. And I don't, and not to say that hiring someone to run social media is not a good thing. I just find to what end, I don't know.
You can use tools like Buffer and Hootsuite and these tools that automate it. But the thing is, I strongly believe that social media is, especially free social media, is very overrated, because if you look at all of the platforms, Facebook, Twitter, I don't know if Instagram falls under this, they're all geared towards making you pay for reach. They make it look like you're getting good free exposure, but you're really not. If you actually look at the number of likes and clicks and you compare that to the effort you're putting into the work, it's actually quite poor return. The only platform which I think has much, I guess it's very subjective, but the platform that seems to be good for free posting is LinkedIn. So really, it would seem that like social media is quite valuable if you pay for it. But I think a lot of people are investing a lot of time in free social media, which is actually having a very low impact on their business. And I think, and this might be the same for you, their time be better spent elsewhere. And it sounds like your time's better spent talking to people.
Yeah, what I've come to determine is going to be my approach, which hasn't happened yet because, I'm busy and I haven't figured out how to make it happen. But I realize that Instagram is not my way to go. Now, if I want to put scantily clad pictures of myself on my Instagram posts, then I think that I could build quite a nice business for myself off of that because I do have a nice figure. But that's not me. So I'm not going to do that. And it's just then that is what Instagram is. If you look at the fitness businesses and you look, that's what gets eyeballs. And it's just not, it's not for me. So I'm trying, in trying to figure out how you personally, as a business owner, fit into social media. That's what you need to look for. Where do you best fit? Because maybe there is a girl with a rockin' bod who that's her fit, and that's great. For me, that's not my fit. My fit is talking to people. So what I'm focused on doing in the future are going to be YouTube videos. Oh, cool. Videos saying like, hey, I'm Melinda. This is what I do. This is what I'm thinking about today. I'm thinking about this mind-body connection, or I'm thinking about, the leg extension. Really make sure that you set the setting is this way so that you're reducing the amount of risk to your knee joint, like whatever it is, but interacting with people in that way.
That's a great idea.
Giving them valuable content, whether or not they train at my gym, but showing them who I am. If you want to learn from me or to come and do workouts with me, this is who I am. I'll tell you everything I know and come in, do that. I think that is my strongest avenue as far as social media, and everything else is just kind of a waste for me because I'm not going to be able to keep up with it like everyone else is. And I'm not going to be able to use the tactics that are successful on Instagram specifically. And then even Twitter is like the stand-up comedians kind of venue because basically just doing punchline. So you would think like I would love Twitter, but it seems it's so like not personal, I just can't. I've tried, I've done the Hootsuite thing, it is what it is. But
cool. Well, Melinda, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and learning all about your business.
My life. This is great.
So I didn't hear that. What did you say?
I said I had the time of my life. This has been really fun. This has been
cool.
Great.
No, that's great to hear. What is the best way for people to find out more about you and what you're up to? Like what kind of website do you want to plug, or social media handle, or YouTube, or whatever?
Yeah, now that we just told everyone social media. We're like, social media, whatever. At Strength Shop. No, I think the best thing to do would be my Strength Shop website is thestrengthshop.com, and my email, the email's on there. You can reach out, and if anybody had any questions about the training or what we do or anything like that, or want to get to know us, that's the best way.
Cool. So remember, guys, it's 2 P's and 1 E at the end of shop.
Yeah. The Strength Shoppy.
Yeah, that's it. Cool. And I have all this. So I do, for every podcast I do a blog post of all of the show notes and links. Everything you've talked about and everything I've talked about will be linked from that post, and there'll be links to your site as well. So for those listening, to find all of those resources for this episode and all episodes, please go to corporatewarrior.org. And until next time, guys, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. Before you head off, head on over to corpwarrior.com to get your free ebook with 6 interview transcripts of some of my top guests, including Dr. Doug McGuff, Drew Bay, and Bill Day Simone, on how to optimize muscle gain, fat loss, and overall health in an efficient, effective, and sustainable way. These transcripts are not verbatim, deliberately. Instead, they've been transcribed in an easy read format to make it more enjoyable and easier for you to quickly pick out what you need and start getting results. To get your ebook, head on over to corpwarrior.com, that's CORP warrior.com, and enter your email address. Then check your email for an email from me with a confirmation link. Once you click the link, you will be instantly redirected to a PDF version of the transcripts. This episode is brought to you by ARX, the most innovative, efficient, and effective all-in-one exercise machines I've ever seen. I was really impressed with my ARX workout. The intensity and adaptive resistance was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I love how the machine enables you to increase the negative load to fatigue target muscles more quickly, and I love how the workouts are effortlessly quantified. The software tracks maximum force output, rate of work, total amount of work done, and more in front of you on screen, allowing you to compete with your previous performance to give you and your clients real-time motivation. The ARX uses a computer-controlled motor to give you the exact amount of resistance your clients need 100% of the time. This means that the resistance can never become dangerous, is intuitive and simple to use, and can provide you with all the results you and your clients are looking for in a fraction of the time. ARX is highly effective and efficient in delivering all of the benefits of exercise, including increased strength, muscle mass, cardiovascular conditioning, bone mineral density, and injury recovery. As well as being utilized by many high-intensity training trainers to deliver highly effective and efficient workouts to their clients, ARX comes highly recommended by world-class trainers and brands, including Bulletproof, Tony Robbins, and Ben Greenfield Fitness. To find out more about ARX and how you can get $1,000 off software licensing when you place an order, that's right guys, $1,000 off, please go to arxfit.com and mention Corporate Warrior in the How Did You Hear About Us field. So again, to get $1,000 off software licensing when you order, head on over to arxfit.com and enter Corporate Warrior in the How Did You Hear About Us field. This episode is brought to you by the Resistance Exercise Conference, the science and application of strength training for health and human performance. Would you like to learn from the top strength training researchers, network and connect with other exercise professionals from all over the world, join a welcome reception on a Friday night to build relationships with other strength training professionals, experience an early morning workout from an expert trainer to kickstart your Saturday, and get inspired, rejuvenated, and focused on your strength training business? I certainly do, and that is why I am attending and interviewing all of the speakers at the event. The Resistance Exercise Conference will be held on the 9th and 10th of March 2018 in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the Commons Hotel. To get 10% off your entry fee, head on over to resistanceexerciseconference.com, click the registration button, and enter Corporate Warrior 10 in the promo code field in PayPal. I'm very excited about this and have wanted to attend for years. Sign up now at resistanceexerciseconference.com and get 10% off with promo code Corporate Warrior 10, and I look forward to meeting you in person.